Exclusive contract novel from Feilu Novel Network. City. My Perfect God Hao, female lead crying for control. Su-han travels through time and becomes a real *** teaching assistant, awakening the Perfect God Hao system at the beginning. Perfect temperament 99+, 99+ knowledgeable individuals, charming and handsome 99+ fully attack the two male leads, Zhang Anren and Wang Yongzheng. I originally wanted to be a low-key person. But she was cried and begged for mercy by the two female protagonists, Jiang Nansun and Suosuo. May I ask how to deal with the Shura Field? Waiting online, it's quite urgent. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. People in flowing gold. Kneeling for flowers to reward and evaluate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dee. The piercing chirping of cicadas mixed with the constant chirping of birds echoed in the quiet campus. The scorching sun mercilessly scorched the earth. The entire campus seems to have become distorted. Suan, holding a thick engineering budget report in his hand, walked towards the doctoral guidance building without looking at it. Feeling the scorching sun above my head. He really wants to poke the sun down with a stick. The magic city in August, the season of flowing fire, the weather is simply too hot. Fortunately, the greenery at Moda University is done well. There are many shaded areas. Otherwise, walking on the road would really cost one's life. Looking at the youthful college students on campus, Su-han couldn't help but sigh in his heart. In the blink of an eye. It has been over a week since I traveled to this world. Time flies not so fast. It seemed like just a fleeting moment of effort, and over a week had passed. Suan wore it and was also bound to a system. But this system is a bit tricky, except for assigning him an identity, there was no movement. The identity assigned to him by the system is that of an orphan, a local, who grew up in Fuli Academy and has been a top student since childhood. I am currently in my second year of graduate school. I also serve as an internship teaching assistant in the architecture department. I have the opportunity to become an official lecturer at Magic City University. His office is located in a nearby teaching building, not an independent office, with two young teaching assistants inside. They are respectively, Wang Yongzheng and Zhang Anren. Not bad, they are the two important characters in the TV series, The Golden Age. He has met both of these people before. However, Jiang Nansun, the young lady of the aristocratic family, also has Suosuo, who has been lonely since childhood. He has not yet met his lifelong best friend. This made him have a slight expectation in his heart. Once you come, be content with it. It has been over a week since he traveled to the world of Golden Age, and he has already become accustomed to the life here. Shuttling through teaching buildings, doctoral guidance buildings, teaching assistant offices, and dormitories every day, the days are quite fulfilling. Don't say it yet. It has been many years since he enjoyed college life. After crossing over, he spends his days on campus and feels really comfortable. There is a feeling of finding a long-lost sense of tranquility. After working hard in society for many years and entering the workplace for many years, I will deeply feel that only on campus, and only when studying, is the most comfortable stage. Not long after we left, Su-han arrived at the entrance of an office in the doctoral guidance building. Raise your hand and knock on the door. Come in. A strong and energetic voice came from inside. Suan pushed open the door and walked in, seeing Professor Dong holding a pen and calculating something. See him coming. Professor Dong lifted it up with a kind smile on his face. Professor Dong. It's not Professor Dong from the original work, but another professor from the Department of Architecture, with the same surname as Dong. The Professor Dong in the original work is the mentor of teaching assistant Wang Yongzheng, and Su-han has also met with him several times. A kind old head. Su Han is here. This is the engineering budget report for Jianya building. Take it down for accounting and submit the results to me later. Professor Dong pushed the golden glasses on his nose and smiled, pointing to a stack of reports on his desk. Okay, teacher. Suan walked to the water dispenser, brewed a cup of tea for Professor Dong, and placed it in front of him. Professor Dong is his mentor. When studying with Professor Dong, he also helps him with some things. Universities, they all look similar. When mentors guide students, many tasks are entrusted to the students. Some mentors even treat students like cows and horses. When students write papers, the supervisor will become the first author. Doing scientific research and tasks, the results are the responsibility of the supervisor, and students can only put in hard work. That's okay. The key is that many mentors do not take students seriously and try their best to exploit them, using their graduation thesis as a threat. Like Professor Dong, it's pretty good. Although there are tasks on a regular basis. But overall, it's quite human sexualized, not too much. Fortunately, after Su Han crossed over, the system has compensated him with countless knowledge and skills in the construction industry, otherwise he wouldn't be able to handle these daily tasks. Perhaps this is also the blessing of being a traveler. Suan. Professor Dong spoke up. Teacher, you say. Suan looked at Professor Dong without looking askance. You, Wang Yongzheng, and Zhang Anren are all teaching assistants in our architecture department, but they have been teaching assistants for some time now, and you have just started. And you also need to work harder in your daily life to succeed and become a regular employee, do you know? In terms of school, as a teacher, I will try my best to help you. You don't have to worry, you just need to do your own thing well. Although only one of you three can stay in the end, I will do my best to help you, teacher. Professor Dong earnestly encouraged. Jiang who exists in every corner. Magic City University is naturally a small world. When one's own students become teaching assistants, those who become mentors must also contribute behind the scenes. Professor Dong has brought many students over the years, some are smart and some are honest, but there are not many students like Su Han who are both smart and serious. Every time I come to the office, I make him a cup of tea. Although this is a small matter, the attitude is at least satisfying. So, he also wants to help this student. Teacher, I will work hard. Su Han smiled and said. You go ahead. Professor Dong waved his hand. So Su Han left with a thick stack of engineering budget reports. Just left the office. Ding dong, the Perfect God Hao system has been fully charged. The data panel is being improved. Host Su Han, age, 24 LV1, skill, none, upgrade experience verification, 0/10,000, system mall, not opened attribute value, charm value, 75, physical ability value, 68, wisdom value, 81, fortune value 67, note 1. As a divine hero, the host can receive a cash reward of 1 cent for every second of life. The source of funds is absolutely safe and can be reflected in the bank card at any time. Note 2. Level upgrade requires a pass value, and for every 1 yuan spent by the host, they can obtain 1 pass value. Note 3. Life is full of surprises. As a perfect god, one needs to develop comprehensively in morality, intelligence, and physical fitness. When the host completes certain tasks, they will receive corresponding rewards, including but not limited to money, skills. Note 4. The normal attribute value is around 60 points, while the highest value for humans is 100 points. Su Han's spirit was shaken. After traveling for over a week, the system has finally officially started. Perfect God Hao system. Does it sound very good? He walked towards the teaching assistant's office while studying the system. The teaching assistant office is located in a building not far from the doctoral supervisor building. Soon, Su Han arrived. As soon as I entered, I saw a girl sitting in Anren's office seat. She was wearing a white floral long dress, looking down at something. Although she lowered her head and a few strands of bangs blocked her eyebrows, they still couldn't conceal her beauty. Her black and beautiful long hair, slightly lifted up, revealed a beautiful face that was truly like a phoenix's head and a moth's eyebrows, giving people a very gentle and peaceful feeling. The strong atmosphere of books makes people feel particularly comfortable. Jiang Nansun. Su-han's eyes lit up, finally seeing the white moonlight. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Jiang Nansun, who takes the initiative to strike up a conversation, kneels down and seeks Novelty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This girl is more beautiful and quiet than in TV dramas. Although Su-han finally met Jiang Nansun, he did not show a pig-like demeanor. Jiang Nansun. He definitely wants to take it. They have all come to the world of Golden Age. Do you still have to watch this white moonlight being bullied? That's not possible. But now the two are still strangers, we can't just approach each other directly, we need to approach them step by step. Suan walked quietly to his office and placed a thick stack of engineering reports on his desk. He walks relatively lightly. After he put down the report, Jiang Nansun finally noticed that someone had arrived in the office. She showed her eyebrows slightly and looked up. Blocked by the computer screen. Unable to see anyone. Thoroughly. She didn't take care of it either. She is waiting for someone. Waiting for Zhang Anren. My aunt, who has been abroad for many years, returned to China a few days ago. She said she wants to convert her old house into a homestay and rent it out. I'm looking for someone to design it. Thinking of Zhang Anren, he is recognized as a top student in the school's architecture department. Jiang Nansun wanted to ask Zhang Anren for help in making a design blueprint. Is that Wang Yongzheng? After seeing this person enter the office, Jiang Nansun immediately immersed himself in work, feeling a slight curiosity in his heart. She heard from Zhang Anren. In addition to Zhang Anren, there is also an internship teaching assistant in this office. My name is Wang Yongzheng. He is a famous playboy in the school. Even though she has graduated now, she has heard a little about it. Why is the person who walked in so quiet? Is Zhang Anren deceiving him? Just as I thought of this, a song came from outside the door and caught the attention of Jiang Nansun. Bitter sand, blowing through my face, like a father's scolding, a mother's crying. Wang Yong was carrying 2 large bags of things when he saw Jiang Nansun sitting at Zhang Anren's workstation. His eyes were stunned and he was very surprised. Surprisingly, there is such a top-notch girl coming to find Zhang Anren. What kind of person is he? You can tell at a glance that this is a top-notch girl. Wang Yongzheng placed his things on the table and casually picked up a water glass, opened the bottle cap, and took a sip of water. It was only then that he saw Su-han also in the office. Teacher Su, what are you doing? Seeing Su-han burying his head in calculations, he asked curiously. A project budget report provided by Professor Dong. Su-an looked up and said something to Wang Yongzheng. You are also tired enough to become a teaching assistant. Professor Dong has arranged so many things for you, and I haven't seen you idle before. My mentor is better, I rarely arrange tasks in my daily life, Wang Yongzheng laughed happily. Are you studying ancient architecture? It's normal to have children in your daily life. After Su-han said a faint sentence, he didn't leave Wang Yongzheng. Wang Yongzheng felt bored. He put down his water glass and his gaze fell on Jiang Nansun, whistling 2 times at him. Jiang Nansun looked up at him with a puzzled gaze. This is the teaching assistant's office. Don't flip through things casually. Also, don't think that if you put on lipstick and a beauty filter, you can have our ignorant teaching assistant correct your failing score. Wang Yongzheng spoke steadily, and before he could finish speaking, a voice came from the door. Wang Yongzheng. I saw a girl at the door gesturing to Wang Yongzheng, who also gestured to her and waved his hand. I'll come find you right away. The girl said a word and quietly left. Also, if you want to ask questions, it's best to find the best teaching assistant, such as me Wang Yongzheng. Wang Yongzheng continued to say to Jiang Nansun. Are you that Wang Yongzheng? Jiang Nansun withdrew his gaze without lifting his head, continuing to flip through a pile of garden design drawings on Zhang Anren's desk. Have you ever heard of me? Wang Yongzheng lifted his eyebrows proudly. This top-notch girl has heard of him, but he doesn't know her. Where is this good? I haven't heard of it before. Jiang Nansun replied calmly. Wang Yongzheng's eyes twitched as he was about to say something when he saw Zhang Anren walking in from outside. Zhang Anren. Jiang Nansun stood up from his seat. She was like a proud peacock, facing Wang Yongzheng's advances without any ups and downs in her heart. She has seen this trick of picking up girls many times. I used to have criticisms about Wang Yongzheng, but now my impression of him is even worse. You're still a teaching assistant. Whistling frivolously to girls, tsk when facing Zhang Anren, she clearly relaxed a lot. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but smile, and on his delicate and pretty face, the beautiful pear vortex rippled slightly, which was really beautiful. Nansun, you're here. Seeing Jiang Nansun sitting in his office seat, Zhang Anren quickly walked forward. This is the girl he has been longing for a long time. Still the school's famous flower. Coming to see him at noon made him feel proud. Unconsciously, the footsteps became much lighter. He was originally very tired and hot, but at this moment, he felt like drinking chilled beer, especially refreshing, and his voice couldn't help but increase a few degrees. He pulled a chair from the side, sat down, and smiled at Jiang Nansun, saying, Nansun, please sit down. Zhang Anren, I want to ask for your help. Jiang Nansun spoke up. Nansun, if there's anything I can do to help or not, just let me know. Zhang Anren immediately responded. He was separated from Jiang Nansun by some distance and didn't appear to be that intimate. This scene. Su Han, who was not far away, seemed lost in thought. Perhaps the plot of the original work has not yet arrived, and Zhang Anren has not confessed to Jiang Nansun yet. Su Han thought to himself. According to the plot of the original work, when Zhang Anren walked into the office, Jiang Nansun did not perform as he does now. Be much more intimate. But now there is clearly a sense of distance between the two. My aunt has a house that needs to be designed as a homestay. Can you help me create a design drawing? Jiang Nansun's hand slightly folded her skirt and sat down. Her voice was very sweet, like a serene orchid in an empty valley, like water singing. Her figure is graceful and perfect, even wearing a long skirt cannot conceal it. This girl is so punctual. Wang Yongzheng's mind became lively as he watched from the side. Homestay design, no problem. Zhang Anren agreed in one fell swoop. He took out his phone and checked the time, saying, Nansun, it's time for dinner. Are you hungry? Let's go to the cafeteria for dinner. I'm a bit hungry, let's go. Jiang Nansun spoke softly. Let's go together, I'm just hungry. Wang Yongzheng spoke out. Zhang Anren frowned. He didn't want Wang Yongzheng to go with him and Jiang Nansun. Who wouldn't know that Wang Yongzheng was a famous playboy in the school? This person is very good at picking up girls. There are many talents that girls like. He cannot be given the opportunity to contact Nansun. Glancing at the scorching sunlight outside the window, Zhang Anren smiled and said to Jiang Nansun, Nansun, the weather is too hot. I'll bring you some food back. Well, anything is fine. Jiang Nansun nodded softly and did not reject Zhang Anren's proposal. She also did not want Wang Yongzheng to follow her to the cafeteria. This person gave him a very poor first impression. Teacher Wang, shall we go? Zhang Anren felt proud in his heart and pouted at Wang Yongzheng, saying. Let's go. Speaking is like pouring water. I just said I'm going to the cafeteria. What else can Wang Yongzheng say now? He couldn't help but see that Zhang Anren was guarding himself. What can he do now, even though he has shrunk from eating? We can only retrieve the venue in the future. Teacher Su, are you going to eat? Let's go together. Zhang Anren was about to leave when he saw Su Han also in the office, so he shouted casually. No need, I had already eaten it when I came. Suan looked up and politely responded with a smile. It's quite handsome. As he looked up, a hint of surprise flashed in Jiang Nansun's beautiful eyes. Suan came wearing it, accompanied by a good appearance. Besides, his appearance was indeed outstanding. Okay, then let me go with Teacher Wang. Zhang Anren smiled and left the teaching assistant's office with Wang Yongzheng. To Wang Yongzheng, Zhang Anren is always on guard in his heart, but to Su Han's words. He is not very cautious anymore. Others say that Su Han was born as an orphan and grew up in a welfare institution. He also has a relatively solitary personality and does not like to communicate with others. Even if such a person looks handsome, would they still pose any threat to him? Don't worry. I feel very relieved. So, in the office, only Su Han and Jiang Nansun remained. Although he was alone in a room, Su Han still didn't take the initiative to approach him. He is so familiar with this young lady from a prestigious family. I know that although she has a gentle and approachable personality, in reality, her heart is also very high. If she were to initiate a conversation, it might even have a counterproductive effect, causing her resentment, just like Wang Yongzheng did just now. Let her hang on, maybe she will automatically start a conversation. People are like this. Whether it's a man or a woman, there is a lot of conflict. There is a saying that goes well. What cannot be obtained is always in turmoil, and those who are favored are confident and fearless. Sure enough. Seeing Su Han burying his head in calculating the engineering report without even saying hello, Jiang Nansun's heart became unbalanced. How popular is she at school? Other boys, who saw her and didn't show any respect. What's like the person in front of me? I've known each other for so long. Surprisingly, they didn't even greet her. After a while, she took the initiative to speak, breaking the silence in the office. Hello, my name is Jiang Nansun. Are you the new teaching assistant? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Defeating Women with Women's Magic Annealing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Well, I'm a new teaching assistant named Su Han. You can also call me Teacher Su. Suan lifted his head and looked at Jiang Nansun, then smiled and replied. Women. Whether it's beautiful or not. I can't tolerate a man's cold attitude. Well, the fish have successfully taken the bait. I just heard from you that you are Professor Dong's graduate student. I also plan to take his graduate entrance exam. Jiang Nansun smiled slightly. She looks really good when she smiles, with a charming smile and beautiful eyes. The beautiful pear vortex on both sides of the mouth is very tempting. I couldn't help but come up and take a sip. Then you go for it. Su Han smiled and said. Can I ask for your advice in the future? Jiang Nansun looked at him. No need, right? Su Han waved his hand. Can't even ask for advice. Jiang Nansun's eyebrows furrowed slightly. She felt that the boy in front of her was too indifferent, and he had chosen the right name, which was so chilling. You are a teaching assistant. May I ask what's wrong with your question? Even if you are a formal teacher, you cannot refuse to ask you questions. To preach, impart knowledge, and dispel doubts. Isn't this the responsibility of being a teacher? Other students are fine, but you can't. Su-han said lightly. Why? Jiang Nansun was lost, his gaze fixed on Su-han, and he asked, are you deliberately targeting me? We didn't know each other before, did we not have any conflicts, did we? Contradiction. Su-han glanced at her and said, there's none of this. Why did you deliberately target me? Jiang Nansun asked in silence. There's no reason. Su-han shook his head. I don't believe it. Jiang Nansun directly Lu Yu said, there must be a reason behind this. Do you have hostility towards beautiful girls? She felt that Su-han might be a bit twisted in his heart. Or perhaps they have been emotionally hurt. And my previous girlfriend must have been very beautiful. I love the house and the crow, hate the house and the crow, and also become resentful towards other good-looking girls. This kind of twisted-hearted person is a common presence in society. I cannot rule out that Su-han in front of me is also. Are you pretty? Su-han looked at her. Am I not pretty? Jiang Nansun asked in reverse. Pretty Suan nodded and said truthfully, I haven't seen many beautiful girls like you at this Magic City University yet. Humph. Jiang Nansun snorted. There is no girl who doesn't like to be praised for being beautiful, and she is no exception. She loves to hear that. At the same time, she also firmly believed in her own ideas. Su-han, indeed, has a twisted heart and harbors hostility towards beautiful girls. Forget it, just pretend I haven't said it before. I won't ask you any questions in the future, don't worry, she said. You don't think my heart is twisted, do you? Su-han seemed to see through her thoughts and said happily, for example, do you think I have hostility towards pretty girls or something? Aren't you? Jiang Nansun was taken aback and couldn't help but blurt out a question. Of course not. Su-han's face darkened and he said, I just don't like to deal with people with bad behavior, whether they are boys or girls. Not to mention being a college student, even those who haven't read a book know how unpleasant it is. Do you think my character is bad? Jiang Nansun's mentality exploded, and his emotions surged up, staring at Su-han with beautiful eyes. Isn't it? Su-han retorted and said in a calm tone, you know that Zhang Anren has a girlfriend whom he has been talking to for many years, and you still want to talk to him about a partner. Isn't this bad behavior? As soon as these words are spoken, Su-han seemed to see the big words wronged floating on Su's beautiful face in Jiangnan. Did Jiang Nansun initially know that Zhang Anren was deceiving her feelings? I don't know after a long time. When Yuan appeared, when their Jiang family had a situation. She slowly realized it. At that time, she was covered in bruises and bruises, like a wounded sparrow, licking her wounds alone under the tattered eaves. There is no innocence or naivety at all. Of course, Su-han said so intentionally. He can't just sow discord and say that Zhang Anren has a bad character, is skilled in calculation, and is selfish when they first meet, can he? What's the difference between chewing on the back of your tongue? No one likes or believes what a person who chews their tongue behind their back says. It cannot be directly said that Zhang Anren has a girlfriend. Because they are in the same office, saying so can easily arouse Jiang Nansun's suspicion, thinking that Su-han has a conflict with Zhang Anren due to work issues, so he deliberately provoked them. At this stage, it is precisely because the relationship between Jiang Nansun and Zhang Anren is in a hazy stage. If he does not appear, the two will soon break through the window paper and officially be together. Therefore, we cannot speak ill of Zhang Anren. If you want to say it, just point your spear directly at Jiang Nansun. By saying that she had a bad character, she not only told her about Zhang Anren deceiving her about his feelings, but also left himself out. It can be said to kill two birds with one stone. Don't women like to mess around and pester men? Don't everyone like to be unreasonable? Then use women's magic to deal with women. Today, Su Han also dealt this trick on Jiang Nansun. It depends on whether you are hit or not. Obviously. Jiang Nansun was recruited. I didn't know Zhang Anren had a girlfriend. She looked stunned and felt a great blow in her heart, muttering to herself. Don't you know? Not many people in the architecture department know about this. Su Han looked at Jiang Nansun with a puzzled expression and said, I thought you knew. So you didn't know about this, so I wronged you. Of course you are wronging me. Jiang Nansun blurted out, revealing the girl's mischievous nature. She said, Zhang Anren and I are just ordinary friends, we haven't talked about friends at all. She knew that Zhang Anren wanted to pursue her. She also has a good impression of Zhang Anren, thinking that he is very ambitious, responsible, and honest. But I didn't think about making friends with Zhang Anren right now. Marriage matters cannot be trifled with. She is more traditional in this matter. I decided to test Zhang Anren well before agreeing to his pursuit, but now Zhang Anren actually has a girlfriend whom he has been talking about for many years. And many people in the department know about this. Isn't this deceiving her feelings? Her mentality immediately bounced. Oh. Su Yang casually replied, appearing very casual, and said, you can ask me questions from now on. Cut, not rare. Jiang Nansun pursed his lips and sat back, staring blankly at the drawings and reports on his desk, his thoughts drifting far away. Suddenly hearing this news made her heart explode. She doesn't want to believe it. But I dare not believe it. She has decided to turn around and inquire carefully. As for Zhang Anren, let's continue to maintain a distance for now. We need to figure things out. If I really deceived her, then Suan still didn't pay attention to her, so the atmosphere in the office became quiet again. When Jiang Nansun was overthinking, Su Han's mood seemed very happy. P.S. The fan fiction of The Golden Age, I don't know if anyone has read it. If there are good data such as flowers and review tickets, I will be overpowered. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Senior Brother Su, Guide and Guide Junior Sister. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's 18 yuan now. Su Han's mouth curved slightly, and his mood appeared very happy. Half an hour has passed since the system was officially launched, and he has also received 18 yuan. Although the money is not much. But he just sits like that. What's not satisfied with getting 18 yuan? Also, just now, he accidentally triggered the main quest. Task requirement. Take down Jiang Nansun and let him actively pursue the host. Complete task. You can obtain 38% of the shares of Jingyan Group, with various attribute values plus 10 points. Completion progress. 15%, which has aroused Jiang Nansun's suspicion of Zhang Anren. Take down Jiang Nansun. This is something that Su Han is definitely going to do. Have you all traveled to the world of Golden Age? Do you still watch this white moonlight fall into the arms of other men? But it's a bit difficult to make Jiang Nansun actively pursue him. It's truly a mainline task, it's really challenging. Su Han thought to himself. I think so, but he won't back down. What's the point of doing a task without difficulty? Man, we're going to welcome men, cough, and face difficulties. Moreover, after taking over Jiang Nansun, one can also obtain 38% of the shares of Jingyan Group, which is equivalent to directly becoming the absolute major shareholder of Jingyan Group. Don't be too comfortable. Jingyan Group. It is the largest real estate group in the world of Golden Age, with a wide range of industries. In addition to the local area of Magic City, there are also many real estate projects in other places. 38% of the shares, with a value of at least tens of billions. It can also be considered as reaching the pinnacle of life. Su Han was calculating the budget report for the construction of Jianya building while using his spare light to glance at Jiang Nansun not far away, secretly pondering how to make Jiang Nansun chase him back. Firstly, it is very important. That's it, you can't be a licking dog. Cannot be as humble as when Zhang Anren pursued her. Yes, don't be fooled by Zhang Anren's lack of loyalty and righteousness behind him, but at the beginning, when he pursued Jiang Nansun, he was not generally humble. Both words and actions are written with the word humble. Suan doesn't want that. What's wrong with the goddess? What's wrong with the white moonlight? I only go to lick humbly when my mind is foolish. Of course, licking is also possible, it depends on where to lick specifically. This person's personality is too solitary, isn't it? Jiang Nansun absent-mindedly flipped through the garden design drawings on Zhang Anren's desk, with a pile of project budget reports handed to her by Su Han. Seeing Su Han attentively calculating the financial statements over there, without any intention of communicating with her, made her feel very unbalanced. She considers herself charming. Ordinary boys would love to put oil on their mouths when they see her, and even those who bend around would want to strike up a conversation with her. Just like Wang Yongzheng who went to the cafeteria for dinner. What about Kusuan? Not only does she not like to approach her, but the words she says during communication also make people angry. At a young age, he is almost like an old scholar. Inexplicably, Jiang Nansun feels so bored. She wants to leave now. But as soon as Zhang Anren thought about going to the cafeteria to fetch food, even if he left, he had to let him know, even though he began to doubt Zhang Anren in his heart. The good education she received from a young age and her own principles of conduct prevented her from leaving without saying goodbye. So she sent a message to Zhang Anren. Zhang Anren, how long do you have to come back? Nansun, there are quite a few people in the cafeteria, and I'm still in line. Don't worry, I have your favorite sweet and sour pork ribs at my window. I'll get you a portion later. Zhang Anren returns in seconds. Looking at the information on the phone screen, Jiang Nansun's eyes flickered slightly. If it were in the past, she would think that Zhang Anren was really considerate and meticulous. But I heard someone's words today. She inexplicably felt bored and couldn't help but suspect that this was a trick used by Zhang Anren to pursue her. Okay, I'll wait for you. After hesitating for several minutes, she finally replied with a message. After all, she still has a good impression of Zhang Anren. He cannot be completely denied just because of hearsay. It's so big. Zhang Anren is still the first boy she has a crush on. Even if one wants to walk away and become a stranger, one must find out whether Zhang Anren really has a girlfriend whom he has been talking about for many years. Nansun, there are only a few people in front of me. I'll be having dinner right back. Wait for me. Zhang Anren still responds to the message in seconds. Okay. Jiang Nansun replied with one word. Zhang Anren. Smiling, picture. Jiang Nansun did not respond and exited the chat interface. He clicked on his best friend Zhu Suoluo's profile picture, intending to ask her what she was doing. At this moment, Su Han's voice rang in her ear. Jiang Nansun's classmate. Why? Jiang Nansun looked up and looked towards Su Han. Could you please refrain from placing your phone on the table while sending a WeChat message? It keeps shaking and can be very distracting, okay? Su Han said. Sorry, it's affecting you, Teacher Su. Jiang Nansun pouted and quickly picked up his phone from the table, holding it in his hand. She didn't even notice it herself. When speaking, there was an unconscious hint of emotion. Hey, the task is too heavy. I want to quickly calculate this pile of project budget reports, so I don't want to be disturbed. Please forgive me, pretty girl. Su Han let out a sound. Pushy, Jiang Nansun smiled and was amused by Su Han's words, please forgive me, pretty girl. Looking at Su Han's focused expression, she asked, Senior brother Su, do you know how to design a homestay? What do you call me? Su Han deliberately asked. Call you senior brother. Jiang Nansun gently brushed aside a few strands of messy hair with his hand, smiled and said, I also want to apply for Professor Dong's graduate school. In the future, we will be senior brothers and sisters. Can't we call you senior brother in advance? You are so confident. Su Han gave her a thumbs-up gesture. It's not confidence, I believe I have the ability to get into graduate school. Jiang Nansun said with a serious expression and then asked again, Senior brother Su, can you do homestay design? How simple is this? Suan glanced at him and said calmly, what style do you want? Chinese style. Nordic style. Japanese style. Pastoral style. Modern industrial style. Mediterranean style. What? Jiang Nansun's mouth opened slightly. What kind of design style are these? Why hasn't she heard of any of them? The expression is very silly and cute. Be as cute as possible. What Su Han wants is this effect. The design styles he mentioned are all the 6 most popular homestay design styles when he traveled back. But in the world of Golden Age, it has not yet appeared. After integrating the identity memory arranged by the system, he was very clear. Therefore, Su Han knows. When he mentioned these design styles, it was definitely rocket. Don't talk about Jiang Nansun. Other veteran designers who have been immersed in architectural design for many years will be shocked to the point of tingling their scalp. After being surprised for a few seconds, Jiang Nansun ran to Su Han's side with a steady gaze and said, Senior brother Su, give me some guidance. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Jiang Nansun, who is full of thirst for knowledge, kneels down and begs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guide you. Suan looked at Jiang Nansun. Yes, give me some guidance. Jiang Nansun and he stared at each other, but after less than 2 seconds, their eyes shifted. I don't know what's going on, but facing Su Han's bright and starry eyes, she felt a slight pressure, feeling that this guy felt different from the other guys. This is not impossible, it's just that. Suan chuckled. What do you want? Jiang Nansun gathered his skirt and instinctively took 2 steps back, looking at Su Han nervously with a look of fear. Lone men and widows, living in the same room. She is really afraid that Su Han will do something to her. This situation. In other universities, scandals often break out. Who can guarantee that Su Han in front of him is not that kind of person? What are you doing? Suan asked her in reverse and sneered. I said Jiang Nansun, you're too presumptuous, right? Do you still think I want to do something to you? This is the teacher's office, can you be serious and not overthink it? Heaven shows pity. He really didn't think about anything. Although the girl in front of him is the one he must take down. But he's not that impatient. I just met you. How could it be in the office, just thinking about getting involved with her? Oh, I'm sorry, I had a misunderstanding. Jiang Nansun breathed a sigh of relief, her pretty face turning slightly red, and she felt particularly embarrassed. She didn't know what had happened just now, and she was actually having wild thoughts. TSK. Suan sked twice and said seriously to Jiang Nansun, it's not impossible to guide you. After all, you're right. We really have a chance to become fellow disciples in the future. Thank you, senior brother Su. Jiang Nansun immediately became cheerful and laughed, like a bright peony blooming, stretching its petals and releasing bursts of fragrance to the fullest. However, there are conditions. Su Han said, dragging the end of the word, ah. Can I help you calculate some more reports? Jiang Nansun was not foolish either. When Su Han spoke, he glanced at the budget report of the Janya building project on his desk and immediately realized it. Bingo, you're right. Suan snapped his fingers and asked her, would you be willing? If you're willing, I'll give you some guidance. If you're not willing, it's okay. Of course I do. Jiang Nansun blurted out a reply, and on his collagen-filled pretty face, a strong desire for knowledge and desire emerged. Just helping to calculate the project budget report. She was originally studying architecture. I also want to work in the construction industry in the future. This can be considered a part of the job. And she also wants to take the postgraduate entrance exam, accounting for project budget reports, which belongs to the category of project cost. When taking the postgraduate entrance exam, she will also take this aspect of content. She has no reason to be unwilling. Say it again. The decoration styles of the homestays that Su Han just mentioned aroused her curiosity and thirst for knowledge. Before that, she had never heard of those design styles. I don't know where Su Han learned it from either. During my 4 years in college, my teachers never taught me in the classroom. Is it Professor Dong who taught him? It should be. As a graduate student. How can I learn more knowledge than undergraduate students, right? It seems that you really want to take the postgraduate entrance exam. It's not bad, you're studying hard enough. In that case, I won't be able to fool you anymore. I need to come up with some real materials and give you serious guidance. Su Han smiled and said. Please guide me seriously, I will study diligently. Jiang Nansun nodded heavily and said with a serious expression. Su Han let out a sigh. He certainly knows that Jiang Nansun is very serious in his studies. In the original work, after Zhang Anren betrayed her feelings and her family was shattered, she finally successfully got into Professor Dong's graduate school, and was considered a very strong girl. I just told you about 6 decoration styles for homestays. Now let's teach you the first one first. What style is it? Nordic style. Nordic style. Yes, let's teach you Nordic style first, and we'll teach you other styles later. Okay, do you have any Nordic style design drawings before? If so, you can take them out now for me to see and give me some guidance. I haven't done this yet, I have to draw it now. Draw now. Jiang Nansun's expression was stunned, appearing particularly surprised. She didn't expect Su Han to say such words. She had also designed the drawings herself. But even a simple blueprint takes a long time to design. Suan actually said he is painting now. Is this a joke, right? This must be a joke, right? Even a design teacher cannot achieve this. Just kidding, I designed a blueprint before and stored it in my computer. Now I'll open it for you to take a look, and I'll also tell you about the characteristics of Nordic style. Su Han smiled and said. He was so familiar with the plot of the original work that he naturally knew that after Jiang Nansun's aunt returned from abroad, he immediately arranged for Jiang Nansun to help her with the design. Jiang Nansu was looking for Zhang Anren, and coincidentally, Wang Yong was getting to know Aunt Jiang Nansun, which led to a series of plotlines between the three of them. When Su Han found out on the first day that he had traveled to the world of Golden Age, he began to prepare for it. I spent a few days making a design drawing. The reason for doing Nordic style. It is because Jiang Nansun's aunt has been staying in Northern Europe for these years, and this design can conform to her aesthetics and satisfy her vanity as an overseas Chinese. Women. Whether young or old, they all have a strong sense of vanity. I knew you were teasing me. Jiang Nansun rolled her eyes and said, how could a design be drawn now? A design contains many aspects. Design of floor plans, elevations, materials, and more. Su Han smiled silently and found the folder. He opened the design drawings, and when he saw them, Jiang Nansun's beautiful eyes widened and he exclaimed, "Wow, it's so beautiful." P.S. One change, with very few collections, but the data is still good. Thank you to the Diamond Expert for giving a reward of 100 book coins. Thank you to all the experts who have invested in flowers and reviews. I will continue to write about it well. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Scratchy Ears Kneeling for Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Suan found the folder and opened the already prepared drawings. A typical Nordic style. He held the mouse in his right hand and kept scrolling through the room, presenting the floor plan, top view, and ABCD elevation views of the design one by one. At the edges of these drawings, detailed information such as materials, room area, openings, orientations, and dimensions required for decoration are marked on the drawings. Be meticulous in every detail. The information is very detailed. It's so beautiful. It's really beautiful. While Su Han was scrolling through the drawings with his mouse, Jiang Nansun looked at the lifelike design and his beautiful eyes widened in surprise. Continuously praising. She really thinks it's beautiful. During her 4 years of studying in the Department of Architecture at Modi University, she has also seen many design drawings, but she has never seen such a beautiful one like the one in front of her. I have never seen this design style before. Simplicity. Very concise. But surprisingly beautiful and beautiful. Living in such a room must be very comfortable. You see, this is the typical Nordic style of design. Suan left the mouse with his right hand and didn't continue scrolling. He pointed to the blueprint on the computer screen and smiled, saying, "I see, it's very beautiful." Jiang Nansun hummed and hummed twice. "Next, let me briefly explain the characteristics of the Nordic style," said Su Han. "Long story short." "Why not explain it in detail?" asked Jiang Nansun. "Zhang Anren is coming back from the cafeteria to fetch food. If he sees you getting so close to me, what will he do if he gets jealous?" Su Han joked. "So close together." Jiang Nansun murmured to himself before realizing that she had just been too focused and hadn't even noticed that she was almost pressing against Su Han's back. "No, it's not about to be posted. I really pasted it a little bit." Her pretty face turned red and she felt embarrassed. Yu Guang glanced at Su Han and thought to herself, "I'm really ashamed of myself. I don't know what he feels, maybe not." He was also very focused on looking at the blueprint just now. "I don't have much to do with Zhang Anren, why is he jealous?" That's what she said, but she still quietly distanced herself from Su Han, not as close as before. "Don't stand behind me, stand beside me. Your hair is making my ears itch and I'm not used to it," Su Han said. Jiang Nansun blushed and walked to the side. At this moment, she regretted not tying her hair up, otherwise Su Han wouldn't have said that to her. "You just looked at the blueprint. What do you think are the characteristics of Nordic style? Summarize it with your perspective." Su Han ignored her panicked emotions and reached out to point to the blueprint on the computer screen, completely immersing himself in the role of a teacher. "Simplicity." Jiang Nansun answered without hesitation. This is her first sensation, which she just summarized. The design blueprint in front of her is indeed much simpler than the ones she had seen before. "What else?" Su Han asked. "What else?" Jiang Nansun did not immediately answer the question, but continued to carefully look at the drawings. After a while, she added, "Besides simplicity, this design style, I found that the decoration is also relatively simple, with a special beauty in simplicity." "Not bad." Su Han praised her and then asked, "Is there anything else?" "I can't think of it anymore," Jiang Nansun said with some embarrassment. If given some time, she thought she would definitely be able to identify some other characteristics, but now that time is so rushed, she really can't summarize any other characteristics. Besides simplicity in simple decoration, the Nordic style is also very elegant and bright. Look, does the entire design look very bright and not dim at all? It gives people a great visual enjoyment. In simplicity, it also reveals a subtle elegance, which is very suitable for some people's pursuit and beauty. Su Han did not go to crack down on Jiang Nansun, but introduced it seriously. Upon hearing what he said, Jiang Nansun carefully looked at the drawings on the screen and found that it was indeed the case. The entire design style was indeed very elegant and bright. No wonder at first glance at the design, it gives her a comfortable living in a bright feeling in front of her. So this is the characteristic of Nordic style. The brightness and simplicity of the Nordic style are reflected in its colors. Look, the entire design style, all the decorations and pigments in the room are all white, isn't it? Su Han said. Well, it's like this, Jiang Nansun replied. Let's go back to the main topic. Let me tell you what Nordic style is. The so-called Nordic style refers to the artistic and design styles of those Nordic countries. When decorating their houses, they pursue simplicity, elegance, and brightness in both color and space, often dominated by white or light Morandi colors. Then, it is complemented by brightly colored street stalls, pillow decorative paintings, green plants, and ornaments as details to add a passionate element to the house. Su Han explained earnestly, while Jiang Nansun listened attentively. When Su Han was explaining, Jiang Nansun corresponded his words to the design drawings on the screen one by one, and found that it was really like this. She didn't even notice the small decorative details of the pillows and ornaments just now. Now everything has reacted. Quietly, a look began to appear in her eyes. Alright, you can sit down and take a good look. I'll go rest next to you. After speaking, Su Han stood up, while Jiang Nansun sat in his office seat, scrolling through the drawings with his mouse and carefully watching. After watching for a while, Zhang Anren has returned from the cafeteria. Su Han, standing by the window, suddenly said. Oh. Jiang Nansun responded and asked him, Senior Brother Su, can you make a copy of this blueprint for me? I will take it back and study it well. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Sure enough, being single has a reason to kneel down. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sure, it's not a big deal. You can just print a copy without asking me. I'm not so stingy, haha. Suan smiled and said something without looking back. I still need to ask, after all, is this the design you made? Jiang Nan, Sun Tian, smiled and skillfully printed the blueprint. She has decided. After taking the drawings back, take a good look and carefully compare what Su Han said about the characteristics of Nordic winds with the drawings. She also needs to follow the blueprint and do the design herself. When she learns, maybe by then, Auntie's house won't have to look for anyone else, and she can design a homestay design blueprint that satisfies Auntie herself. Originally, the aunt was looking for her to design, because she is studying architecture. It's just that she wasn't very confident, that's why she came to the school to seek help from Zhang Anren. But now, after learning the Nordic design style taught by Su Han, she feels like she doesn't need to ask Zhang Anren for help. This is really an unexpected joy. Whatever you want, if you're willing to help me calculate the budget report for the entire Janya building project, I can design some other style design drawings for you. Su Han said happily. Let's forget it then. Upon hearing these words, Jiang Nansun was somewhat tempted, but as she looked at the thick pile of project budget reports on the desk in front of her, she immediately began to withdraw. If she had to do the accounting alone, I don't know when she would have to do it. Anyway, I already know Su-han. Aren't you willing to ask him questions in the future? Girl paper. You need to be smarter. Haha. Su-han laughed heartily. Jiang Nansun was not deceived, which made him feel slightly regretful. Unfortunately, he was in a good mood. Because the system's prompt sound rang in his mind. Ding dong, the host carefully explained knowledge to others, fulfilled the responsibility of being a teacher, and gained the charm of being a good teacher. The charm function. It can greatly enhance students' learning enthusiasm and ability, while enhancing their own charm, and better gain students' respect and awe. As the owner of the perfect divine luxury system, life is filled with surprises everywhere. This charm, if in other aspects, has no effect at all. However, Su-han's current identity is as a teaching assistant at Mordo University. After completing the tasks assigned by the supervisor in the school, I occasionally attend substitute classes. When a teacher is delayed due to something and unable to attend class. As a teaching assistant, he, along with Zhang Anren and Wang Yongzheng, will substitute for these classes. Although there are not many opportunities. But it's not without this situation happening. With this charm, going to classes in the future will be much more convenient and relaxed. The printing is done, thank you, senior brother Su. Jiang Nansun took out a small stack of design drawings from the printer and looked at the vivid images on it, with a smile on her eyebrows and eyes. I didn't expect to have such a harvest when I came to school today. My mood is so beautiful. Have you finished printing? Then don't occupy my office space, I'll continue to calculate the report. Su-han left the window and returned to his desk. Jiang Nansun's eyebrows furrowed when she heard this, and she muttered softly, "What do you mean to occupy your office space? Didn't you just sit here for a while?" "It's not a moment of domination," Su-han asked her happily. "I can't say you." Jiang Nansun sat in Zhang Anren's office seat with the printed drawings, studying diligently. Suan ignored her and calculated the report alone. As the owner of the Shinhao system, surprises abound everywhere. Maybe there will be other surprises after working hard. There's no need to be eager to get close to Jiang Nansun, anyway, this delicious meat won't be in your mouth for a while. Take your time. If he wants to complete the main task arranged by the system and have Jiang Nansun chase him back, then he must pay attention to his strategy. For example, keep some distance from this girl appropriately. Women. You have to be cold and aloof towards them, not too eager. If you are too eager, there will be suspicion of licking, which will have the opposite effect. Quietly. More than 10 minutes have passed. In the past 10 minutes, Su-han and Jiang Nansun did not say a word, and the atmosphere in the office appeared particularly quiet. If it weren't for the electric fan blowing loudly. You can hear a needle drop clearly on the ground. "Nansun, I'm back. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting for so long." In this quiet atmosphere, Zhang Anren walked back from the cafeteria carrying the prepared food. When he saw Su-han and Jiang Nansun sitting in their respective positions without chatting, his mood seemed very good. Fortunately, it's not Wang Yongzheng. If it were Wang Yongzheng, that guy would definitely be close to Nansun. Maybe they will even pry into the corners of labor and capital. While feeling fortunate, Zhang Anren also buried Su-han in his heart, thinking that Su-han was really a bookworm. Faced with a beautiful girl like Nansun, he didn't even strike up a conversation. TSK, we deserve to have been single for so many years. You really look so blind. How good would it be if he were as handsome as Su-han? Zhang Anren, thank you. Jiang Nansun took the bag and said thank you to Zhang Anren. When Zhang Anren walked into the office just now, she had already sandwiched the printed design drawings into a stack of budget reports. It's not to cover up anything. She was afraid that such beautiful design drawings might accidentally be stained with oil. Nansun, what did we say before about thank you? Zhang Anren smiled, pulled up a chair, sat down, opened the bag, and sat next to Jiang Nansun to eat. While eating, he noticed a stack of budget reports held by Jiang Nansun and curiously asked, "Nansun, what is this?" "Oh, isn't Su Han the graduate student under Professor Dong's command? You know, I also want to take the exam for Professor Dong's graduate student. I just asked him 2 questions, and then she gave me these reports to do." Jiang Nansun explained. "Isn't it?" Zhang Anren immediately exclaimed with an exaggerated expression, "Teacher Su, are you really that kind of person? Isn't Nansun just asking you 2 questions? You actually asked her to help you calculate so many reports. Fair trade, is there anything wrong?" Suan looked up and glanced at Zhang Anren, speaking casually. You. Zhang Anren shook his head, looking as if he didn't know what to say, but his heart was filled with joy. He silently rebuked Su Han, feeling that he was really too bookish. Think about him. When I first got in touch with Jiang Nansun, he asked him questions. He was so enthusiastic, not to mention the salary, but even took the initiative to help Jiang Nansun with things. What about Kusuan? Sure enough, being single has a reason. Zhang Anren was secretly enjoying himself in his heart, but Jiang Nansun beside him felt inexplicably uncomfortable. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Zhang Anren confesses his confession. Kneeling to beg for flowers and rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fair trade. Upon hearing Su Han's words, Jiang Nansun inexplicably felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She didn't know what was going on, she just felt a little uncomfortable. Zhang Anren brought back her favorite sweet and sour pork ribs. She used to have a good appetite. But in such an instant, there was actually not much appetite left. A significant decrease in appetite. I feel that my favorite sweet and sour pork ribs are not as fragrant anymore. Nansun, why don't you eat? Zhang Anren noticed this and asked her in confusion. He knew that Jiang Nansun loved to eat sweet and sour pork ribs the most, so he waited in line for a long time to get this dish. It can be said to be full of sincerity. I'm full. Jiang Nansun smiled and replied. She's hard to say, she suddenly lost her appetite for some reason and can only say she's full. Are you full? Zhang Anren became even more puzzled now. He had only eaten a little food when he saw Jiang Nansun. Although her appetite was already not strong. When you eat sweet and sour pork ribs, you will finish every serving. How come I'm full just by eating a little today? Zhang Anren felt that Jiang Nansun must have encountered something. Thinking of the homestay design he had mentioned before, he was so blessed that he quickly said, Nansun, are you thinking about the design of your aunt's house? Don't worry about this question, it's up to me. I will make a beautiful design. Although my major is engineering cost, I am not very good at design. But as a recognized academic powerhouse in the architecture department, Zhang Anren is confident that he can still design a blueprint that satisfies Jiang Nansun. As a top student, one must have this confidence. Thank you, Zhang Anren. I won't trouble you anymore. Jiang Nansun glanced at the design drawings sandwiched in the budget report, shook his head slightly, and said. Hey, Nansun, what else are we saying between us? Thank you or not? Zhang Anren paused and smiled, besides, don't say it's not troublesome anymore. Your matter is mine, it's not troublesome at all. Jiang Nansun remained silent and picked up his chopsticks to continue eating. She was afraid that if she didn't eat, Zhang Anren would chatter on and on. If it were in the past, hearing these words not only wouldn't make her feel disgusted, but she would also feel very sweet, with a sweet feeling in her heart. But today. Is Zhang Anren genuinely or falsely treating me? Does he really have a girlfriend whom he has been talking about for many years? She silently thought in her heart. The more I think, the more hesitant I feel in my heart, and the more I daydream. Not far away. Suan silently calculated the construction budget report of Janya building, while paying attention to the increase in money. Although 1 second only adds a penny, as time slowly passed and he saw more and more money, his mood became even more joyful. In today's society, money is everything. With money, one can almost have everything. Spending money is easy, making money is difficult. Things like this that can easily earn money without doing anything are truly comforting. Ding dong, the host is focused on work, with a meticulous attitude, and gains the charm of twice the result with half the effort, which can greatly improve work efficiency. As the owner of the Perfect God, you can enjoy various small surprises brought by life in real time. Amazing. Listening to the prompt sound from the system, Su Han's mouth slightly raised, and his mood became even more joyful. This system is broad. It's awesome. Thus, his attitude towards calculating engineering budget reports became increasingly focused. When will Jiang Nansun and Zhang Anren finish their lunch? I don't even know when I left. The scorching sun hangs high. Dee dee. The piercing cicadas chirped one after another in the air, and the temperature was very high. The air in the campus seemed to have become distorted. On the shady path. Zhang Anren, don't give me a ride. I have arranged for a lock and she is waiting for me at the school gate. Please go back quickly. Jiang Nansun said to Zhang Anren. Okay, Nansun, take out the sunshade and put it on. Zhang Anren pointed to the sky and said, the weather is too hot, don't get heatstroke. Well, I see. You can go back. Jiang Nansun said. Nansun. Zhang Anren looked at her and hesitated to speak. What's wrong? Jiang Nansun seemed to have guessed what Zhang Anren was trying to say. She had some expectations and some resistance in her heart, afraid that he would really say it. A very contradictory emotion. She doesn't know what's going on, her emotions just seem a bit contradictory and very strange. Can you be my girlfriend? Zhang Anren mustered up his courage and finally expressed his long-held thoughts in his heart. Saying this sentence seemed to have exhausted all his strength. My face turned slightly red with a slight increase in color. God is full of anticipation. He knew that Jiang Nansun also had a favorable impression of him. At school. Only him. Only Zhang Anren and Jiang Nansun are so close together. Other boys, whether in the architecture department or other departments, have never had this kind of opportunity. This is also something he has always been proud of. Upon hearing this, Jiang Nansun fell silent. She lifted her eyes and after a while, she replied, let me reconsider, okay. Well, I'm too impatient, Nansun. Zhang Anren smiled and said. He knew that Jiang Nansun was wholeheartedly interested in taking the postgraduate entrance exam. In love, this girl is very traditional. Her family also arranged many blind dates for her, but they were all rejected by her. Although Jiang Nansun did not immediately agree to his confession. But he is very confident. I feel like I will eventually be able to capture the white moonlight in front of me. She also has a good impression of herself. Can you feel it clearly? Zhang Anren, you go back. Jiang Nansun took out the sunshade umbrella from her bag, opened it and hid it on her head. Her bag was swollen and contained a small stack of project budget reports. Zhang Anren nodded, but did not turn around and leave. Nansun, have you taken a look at your aunt's house, the size of the rooms, and the layout of the house? He asked. Not yet. Jiang Nansun shook his head and said. When you go to see it, I'll go with you. Zhang Anren smiled and said. Well, good. Jiang Nansun nodded. She still has a good impression of Zhang Anren after all. After being in contact with him for so long, it's impossible to completely negate this guy just because of someone's words. She came to school today and originally asked Zhang Anren for help. There is no reason to refuse. Okay, then Nansun, you can call me then. Zhang Anren smiled on his face and said. Jiang Nansun waved his hand and left. Zhang Anren watched her go away until she disappeared from sight before turning around and walking towards the office. After returning to the office, Zhang Anren frowned. Because, to be honest, he is not that good at design. Subconsciously, he glanced at Su Han sitting not far away. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Free labor kneeling for flowers and rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher Su. Zhang Anren shouted to Su Han. What's wrong? Suan looked up and looked at Zhang Anren. Two people are not familiar with each other. Although we have been together in the same office for over a week, we haven't talked much and haven't gone out for a meal together. It's just a nodding acquaintance. Plain as water. The relationship is not at all close. Unlike other colleagues who are harmonious and friendly in the workplace, they have become friends. Sense of distance, full of satisfaction. In the office, we usually keep silent with each other. At this moment, Zhang Anren suddenly spoke to him, which slightly surprised Su Han. Teacher Su, I heard that you have a deep understanding of housing design. Can you give me some guidance? Zhang Anren smiled and asked. He majored in engineering cost. He is quite skilled in engineering budgeting. But in terms of design drawings, I'm not that good at it. Thinking of Aunt Jiang Nansun's house, he dared not casually perfunctory with his own level of skill. I didn't even succeed in confessing today. If you play around casually, maybe it will make Jiang Nansun even more unhappy. After much thought, he decided to seek advice from Su Han. This person, although I haven't had much communication before and I'm not very familiar with him, I just have some knowledge in the architecture department. But both of us are academic achievers. He still recognizes Su Han's strength. Knowing that Su Han is very knowledgeable in housing design, even many teachers in the department consider themselves inferior to Su Han. Ask Su Han for advice. Maybe he has gained something. Can he design a beautiful design? When the time comes, satisfied Jiang Nansun, satisfied her aunt. That's so good. Chasing girls, especially perfect goddesses like Jiang Nansun. Steady point. Be cautious, it's definitely right. Guidance. Suan smiled and said, Teacher Zhang, are you too humble? Who in our department doesn't know that you are a recognized academic achiever? You still need to ask me for advice. He reacted. This guy is clearly for Aunt Jiang Nansun's house. Okay, young man. I have all my ideas on him. Where, there must be my teacher in a group of 3. Zhang Anren humbly waved his hand and said happily. I did make a design drawing, why don't Teacher Zhang come over and take a look? Suan held the mouse and clicked on the already prepared design. Okay. Zhang Anren walked over and handed Su Han a bottle of soda, which he had just bought from a small shop downstairs when he returned. I originally planned to keep both bottles for myself to drink. Now, since Su Han is willing to guide him, it's okay to give him a bottle of soda. A bottle of soda, if it could be exchanged for a beautiful design, it would be cost-effective and not a loss. On this hot day, I still need to drink cold and happy water. Su Han calmly took the soda, opened the bottle cap, and took a beautiful sip, while also sighing. Teacher Su, your design is really beautiful. Zhang Anren took a quick glance and was more and more surprised as he realized he couldn't create such a beautiful design. And this design style is also something he has never seen before. Beautiful and minimalist. Give a refreshing feeling to the eyes. Guang glanced at Su Han, who was drinking soda. He pondered in his heart, no wonder Su Han was promoted to teaching assistant by the department. With his design ability alone, no one in the department could do so beautifully. Looking at the beautiful design on the computer screen, he suddenly thought of Yongzheng, who had left the office but had not returned. 3 teaching assistants. Only one person was able to successfully pass the assessment and stay on campus to teach. His gaze flickered, unsure of what was on his mind. It's okay, isn't it? Su Han said lightly, closed the bottle cap, and casually placed the unfinished soda on the table. Just listen to Zhang Anren's flattery. You can't take it seriously. This guy is very hypocritical. In the original work, in order to make Wang Yongzheng relax his guard, he also solemnly told him that Wang Yongzheng's abilities were stronger than his and he was more suitable to stay on campus as a teacher. Result: Wang Yongzheng mercilessly exposed him, causing him to not step down on the spot. Teacher Su, can I make a copy and study it carefully in the past? After thinking for a moment, Zhang Anren said, a bit embarrassed. His face was somewhat forced, as if asking Su Han to borrow this design, which seemed difficult for him. Isn't that good? Suan didn't immediately agree to him and politely declined. This Nordic-style design was originally intended for Zhang Anren because it was designed entirely based on Aunt Jiang Nansun's house. Whether it's the layout of the house, the size of the compartments, or even the corners and other situations, they are all meticulously arranged. Once Zhang Anren takes this blueprint over. After he and Jiang Nansun went to see her aunt's house, he would find that the blueprint could be used directly. However, Jiang Nansun also has a similar blueprint in his hand. Then, hey, things will be beautiful and the plot will be exciting. This is the benefit of having a god's perspective. Calculating Zhang Anren. Su Han felt no burden at all. This guy is always calculating with others. What's wrong with him? Of course. Even if this blueprint were to be given to Zhang Anren would have to pay a price, wouldn't he? How could you just want to take away the drawings at such a cheap price? Teacher Su, I know this is not good. After all, we are in the field of architecture, and the design drawings require a lot of effort to create. Alright, Teacher Su, can you take this drawing for me to study? I'll help you calculate the remaining project budget report. You know, I'm pretty good at cost estimation. Zhang Anren pointed to a pile of engineering budget reports on his desk and said to Su Han with some embarrassment. Su Han refused him, as expected. Such a beautiful design. Still a style that has never appeared before. If it were him, he wouldn't want to give the drawings to others for reference. It's not much to see. Want to take it away? What are you thinking? Just kidding. Teacher Zhang, since you have said that and we are colleagues, if I refuse again, it would be too impolite. Su Han smiled heartily. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 free labor force and 1 level 1 financial fortune formation. The system's prompt sound made Su Han's smile at the corners of his mouth even more intense. Teacher Su, thank you then. Zhang Anren said thank you and quickly picked up the mouse to print out a blueprint for himself, then returned to his seat eagerly to study. It's okay, haha. Su Han waved his hand. Professor Dong assigned him a task, and now someone has gone to complete it, so he has nothing else to do. Thinking of the recently officially activated Xinhao system, he was moved and decided to go out and try it out, earn some money, and also earn some experience and verification value. So, Zhang Anren was the only one left in the office. Zhang Anren carefully studied the drawings, and the more he studied, the more surprised he became. Slowly, a plan emerged from his mind. This plan made him look forward to it more and more, and his eyes became brighter as he thought about it. P.S. Isn't there no one reading this book? The data is so poor. Can you ask for some flowers, tips, and feedback to support it? Thank you, big shots. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. First level wealth gathering formation. Kneeling to beg for flowers and rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This design is too beautiful. Beautiful and minimalist, the house must be very comfortable to live in after renovation. The style is also quite unconventional, I have never seen it before. There is no relevant design style in school or online, isn't it a style that Su Han innovated himself? If it's really a style that Su Han innovated himself, then. In the office, the atmosphere is very quiet. Almost the needle can be smelled. Only the voice of Zhang Anren muttering to himself echoed in the office. 3 teaching assistants. 2 of the teaching assistants have left. At this moment, only Zhang Anren is left inside. Zhang Anren carefully studied the printed design, and the more he studied, the more surprised he became, with a glow shining in his pupils. He murmured to himself. Suddenly, the eyes and gods became gloomy. He thought of the issue that was related to his career fate again. In the architecture department. There are only 3 teaching assistants in this session. Wang Yongzheng. It's a sea turtle returning from studying abroad. It was a professor in the department, Professor Dong, who is currently Wang Yongzheng's supervisor, who personally invited him back. Although he came to study ancient architecture, he also became a teaching assistant. Su Han and he are both students who remain in this school. Originally, in Zhang Anren's heart, Su Han was not worthy of being his opponent at all. He only saw Wang Yongzheng as a formidable opponent in his eyes. But Su Han's strength now revealed was so strong, which made him feel a bit worried. A formidable enemy suddenly turned into 2. This made Zhang Anren very unhappy in his heart. Mordo University. It is a key university in China. Not to mention being in the local magic city, but looking across the country, the level is very high. Being a teacher in this school is an unimaginable honor for ordinary people, and their status seem very high. Moreover, the key is to use this as a springboard to obtain the household registration of the magic city. Not bad, it's just a household registration. It is very difficult for ordinary people to have a household registration in the magic city. It's not like other places or cities where you only need to buy a house to have a household registration. It's not possible in Beijing City, Shenzhen City, and even Magic City. Even if you buy a house in Magic City, at best you can only apply for residential rights and cannot apply for household registration. There are only a few situations for outsiders who can apply for household registration. 1. Postdoctoral researchers. 2. Returning from studying abroad and introducing special talents. 3. Individuals who rely on direct family members. With the support of my family. Zhang Anren has already bought a house in the Magic City. He really likes this city and wants to stay here permanently in the future. Teaching assistant becomes a regular. Becoming an official lecturer at Mordo University. It is an important channel and means for him to apply for household registration. He cares very much about this. Originally, with only Wang Yongzheng as his opponent, he was very unhappy in his heart. Now that there is another strong enemy, it makes him even more unhappy. In the future, I need to shift my attention from Wang Yongzheng to Su Han, and I can't let this orphaned local block my future. Zhang Anren muttered to himself in a low voice, his eyes were very gloomy and terrifying. At this moment, he, completely lacking the usual humility, it feels like a different person. His gaze fell on the blueprint in his hand, and a plan quietly emerged from his mind. He felt that he could fully draw inspiration from the style of this design and design Aunt Jiang Nansun's homestay in this style. Such a beautiful design style. Presumably, it can definitely satisfy Jiang Nansun and also satisfy her aunt, right? Satisfied her family. Let's spend some more time together. Will she still refuse my confession? As long as we can be together, get married and have children, we can also obtain the household registration of the Magic City. Hey yes, the reason why Zhang Anren didn't spare any effort in pursuing Jiang Nansun is not only because Jiang Nansun is particularly beautiful, has a good way of dealing with people, and has a kind heart. There is another very important reason. That's it, Jiang Nansun is a local girl from the Magic City. After putting down the drawings and folding the design drawings, Zhang Anren took out the engineering budget report for Jianya building and began to calculate it. Despite feeling very unhappy about Su Han becoming a teaching assistant and competing with him to stay on campus and teach, I agreed to Su Han's request. He still has to do it and complete it. Otherwise. Afterwards, Su Han started to argue with him, and when it spread, his reputation became unpleasant. It would be even worse if the long-awaited Jiang Nansun knew about it. If you're not satisfied, you're not satisfied. What is important and what is not important, Zhang Anren still has a clear distinction. If he couldn't even figure out which one was more important, he wouldn't be liked by the department leaders, successfully stayed on campus, and was selected as a teaching assistant in the architecture department. I feel unhappy again. I don't want to help Su Han calculate the project budget report for Jianya building anymore. He also had to obediently calculate. Don't make a choice. Host Su Han, age, 24 LV1, skill, none, upgrade experience verification, 0/10,000, system account, 38, unit. Yuan, system mall, not opened attribute value, charm value, 75, physical ability value, 68, wisdom value, 81, fortune value 67, space backpack, 1 level 1 wealth gathering formation, the verification value is 0, and I need to successfully spend 10,000 yuan to level up to LV2. The task is not that difficult. I don't know if the amount of money earned per second will increase after the level is raised. In the dormitory, Su Han lay in bed, looking at his personal attributes and muttering to himself. He has less than 40 yuan in total in his hands. This 40 yuan was earned one by one after the system was activated. Traveling through the golden age of this world, the system had just opened. Apart from assigning him an identity and recharging 1,000 yuan in his meal card and 30 yuan in his phone card, he did nothing. There is not even a penny of startup funds. This also made him eat every meal in the cafeteria for the past week, without spending a penny on anything else. I can't even bear to buy a bottle of frozen mineral water. This kind of hot weather, the days are not difficult. Fortunately, the system has finally been activated today. The Perfect God Hao system, the more money you spend, the more money you have. Looking at the whole world, you can't find such a good thing from anywhere else. System, what is the level 1 wealth gathering formation? Looking at the additional column of space backpack on his personal attributes, Su Han was a bit curious and asked the system a question. Host, as the master of the perfect divine wealth system, your life is filled with surprises everywhere. The level 1 wealth gathering formation can be freely arranged in an area to gather wealth. System loop. Gathering financial luck. Su Han pondered and asked, does it mean that if I open a store and use the wealth gathering formation, I can increase the store's financial luck, enhance its popularity, and then sell more products? Yes, the host is very smart. The system says. Is that so? It's amazing. Su Han's eyes lit up, and his heart turned upside down. Who doesn't want to be the boss? Although with the perfect Shinhao system now, as long as you spend money, you will get more and more. However, if you can become your own boss and become a boss who can easily earn money, Su Han is still very willing and eager in his heart. It seems that I need to make money as soon as possible and then do some business. What kind of business is good to do? Suan stared blankly at the ceiling and slowly fell asleep. The weather outside is too hot, and he doesn't want to go out to spend money in broad daylight. Let's go out later. He was taking a leisurely nap, while Zhang Anren was calculating the budget report for the construction of Jianya building in the office. Jiang Nansun, who returned home, was also doing the same thing. They are both in their hands. They all have the same design drawings. P.S. Kneeling for flowers and ticket support is useless for the big shots, but it is the driving force behind my writing. Thank you, big shots. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.